The goal of any study space is to provide you with an environment that is free from distractions and will allow you to enter a laser mode of absolute focus on whatever study or work you've set out to accomplish. A lot of the time when our study desk isn't clean and isn't organized, we'll end up being distracted by the things around us and start to procrastinate, which all just causes more friction between us and whatever work we've set out to accomplish. And in the end, we just end up being super unproductive. Now, I won't say I've never been guilty of this myself, but last year I learned about the Japanese concept of Lean and the 5 S's framework, which is used in the workplaces of all the manufacturing giants such as Toyota, Nissan, and Sony. And I realized a lot of these benefits are actually applicable when it comes to organizing and optimizing our own study environment. First, allow me to give you a demonstration of the principles behind the 5S framework and why it's super important to have an organized study desk setup. How long does it take you to find the first 6 letters of your name and your date of birth? You can pause the video for however long you want. What about this time? And finally, this time. No doubt, the last one was the quickest and most efficient setup for completing your task. This is because it's the default keyboard and utilizes the key elements of the 5 S's framework. In the past year, I feel like I finally figured out this concept and managed to apply it to a study space where from the moment I sit down, I will start to be productive and fully focused on the things that I've set out to do. And I'll be showing you how I use the 5S framework to clean and organize my study space in this video. Let's dive in. The first S of the framework that you want to do is sort. This means to remove anything that you're not going to use and only keep what is needed. You want to get rid of all the clutter and junk that is on your desk. If there are things on your workspace that you're not sure whether you're going to use or not, one method to determine what stays and what goes is the red tag technique, which involves placing a red tag on every single piece of equipment. Once you use a certain item, the red tag is removed. Then after 1 week, you can examine everything that still has a red tag and you can decide whether it's important enough to stay or whether you don't actually need it. Broken or useless items such as pens that are out of ink or pieces of scrap paper that no longer have any space on them, containers you don't use and drink containers lying around, you can just remove them. Also, if you have excess stationery or equipment you're not going to use, you can remove these as well. This will include things like having too many highlighters, having too many pens of the same color, or this, just get rid of them. Unnecessary or infrequently used items can be moved to another storage space away from your actual working area. This results in only working and frequently used items staying in your local study area. Personally, I only keep the essentials on my desk. These include my monitor screens, laptop, lamp, and diffuser, cup, and water filter. The rest of the stuff can go away. I like to take this bit to another extreme, which is to remove my phone as well. No, I'm not saying to chuck it in the bin, but I like to keep my phone in the drawer on the other side of my bed and keep it off my desk. Recently, my friend Dineth keeps messaging me about his girl problems. I find it very annoying and very distracting from my studies. So since it isn't something that is useful to my study, to strictly follow the first S principle, I simply just remove my phone from the study space. Out of sight, out of mind, and I don't need to waste time thinking about all the girls Dineth wants to date but can't actually get. The next S is called Seiton, which means to place objects in a location where they can be easily accessed when required. The goal of this step is to reduce your search time and the amount of movement that's required. For me, this is extremely useful for my study notes and stationery. As many of you know in some of my previous videos, I like to use paper notes instead of digital. So this means I have pieces of paper stapled together for each of my subjects. Now, this would take up valuable desk space if I just put it on my desk. So what I think is an important and often underrated aspect of every desk setup is having an efficient drawer system. I use the IKEA Alex drawers, and a lot of other people use it too. Surprisingly, it wasn't actually from watching or reading anyone else's recommendation. This desk just had the perfect dimensions to fit under my table and had enough compartments for what I required. Another benefit was it was also very narrow and therefore wouldn't take up much of my leg room. I like to keep the notes and the stationery in my top drawer, since that is the most easily accessible and I'll need to use it at least a few times each week. In my second drawer is my wallet, earbuds, and other things I need to grab whenever I leave the house. The next one underneath is for my camera gear. All the way at the bottom is previous year's notes and empty exercise books that I probably won't need but would still be accessible in case I ever did need them. The third S of the 5S framework is shine, and this is pretty straightforward. It's just to keep everything clean and neat and not to have any rubbish or dirt that can distract you or put you off the mood from studying. Personally, I like to wipe the dust off my desk with a wet paper towel and also vacuum the floor of my room at least once a week. This process only takes about 10 minutes, so it really isn't much time. Also, I like to keep a square box and use it as a bin, and I put it underneath my table. This gives me easy access to a small bin and chuck away any rubbish right away, without having to walk all the way downstairs and use the rubbish bin. This little box is really neat as it also acts as a footrest in case I ever wanted to lie back, relax, and maybe watch some Netflix or YouTube at my desk. In the case of the last two S's, they can probably be discussed together. These are standardize and sustain, which is to establish what has been achieved to be the normal practice. This means forcing yourself to maintain what has been achieved in the first 3 S steps and not deviate from all the good work you've put in. Make sure you are constantly updating the things on your desk and you don't actually slip into your old bad habits. If something needs to go, then just make sure you remove it and don't go buying stationery or whatever else later on. I would just go on to clutter your space. After each term, what I like to do is to clear out the bottom drawer, especially if I haven't used it, and put the notes that I just finished using into it. Now I have more space in the top drawer for the notes that I'll be making in the new academic term. Sometimes an optimized and organized system will require some policing. Maybe you can ask a sibling or a parent to make sure you're held accountable, at least until you've become accustomed and fully adopted the new culture of cleanliness and organization. Hopefully you guys can take this framework and apply it to organize and optimize your own study desk spaces. And let me know the things that you're throwing away, which are the things that you thought you were going to use but didn't actually really end up using that much, down in the comments below. I'm also considering doing a video on what's on my desk and all the things I have on my affordable and productive study desk setup. But let me know if that's something you guys want to see. If you guys enjoyed this video or learned something useful, then make sure to give it a big like down below. And also subscribe to this channel to not miss out on my future study content where I give study tips and tricks as well as insights into college and uni life. As always, take care and I hope to see you guys in the next video.